You ever have a moment when you know your life needs a reset, but you don't know exactly how to hit refresh? That was me, one random Tuesday night in Islamabad. There I was, scrolling through photos of Murree, mossy pine forests, mist-hugging mountaintops, and street vendors lighting fires to keep warm. And I just thought, what if I go alone? Before I could overthink it, I booked a one-way ticket. No friends, no backup plan. Just me stepping into a foggy mountain town with a heart full of questions and a backpack. And damn, did it change me. So stay with me. I'm going to take you through every second of that week. The sights, the sounds, the surprises, the fears, and the little revelations hidden in between sips of chai and mountain air. Day 1. Islamabad to Murree. I landed in Islamabad just before sunrise. City lights fading behind me as I got into a local car toward Murree. Within minutes, you feel it. The air grows colder, crisper. You can taste pine. The hills draw you in. I had the windows down despite the chill, just letting wind and music wash over me, mile by mile. My guest house was small, family-run, and perched right on Mall Road. My room had 2 windows overlooking the valley. Steam from my mug curled up like a whisper in the cold air. I dumped my backpack and wandered out. There was smoke from charcoal grills, the smell of wood stalls, and children laughing as they chased each other around snow-white goats. And I thought, okay, this is real. That evening, I sat at a tiny roadside dhaba, hunched over dal chawal that warmed me from inside out. No Wi-Fi, no notifications. Just the fog slowly embracing the town, and me, in turn. Day 2. Mall Road and Serendipity. Mall Road on a weekday morning is like a pulse, sometimes gentle, sometimes racing. I found a chai stall with a low stone bench. The chai was milky, spiced just right, served in a chipped ceramic cup. That first sip? Magical. I wandered through shops piled high with colorful shawls and woven blankets. In between sweater stalls, there was a tiny second-hand bookshop. I thumbed through old Urdu poetry books, and the owner offered me an old copy of Faiz, with dog-eared pages and faded ink. He smiled and said, "Loyal customer Haradan Faiz se pod ke guzarda hai," and gave it to me for a bargain. At noon, I bumped into Sarah, a solo traveler from Karachi. We started talking over chai and ended up spending hours sharing travel stories, heartbreaks, dreams. We didn't exchange numbers, just a moment of honest human connection on a bench under foggy skies. When evening came, Mall Road felt different. Shops glowing under string lights, children playing hide and seek in narrow alleys, the smell of roasted corn. The chaos was alive, and I loved it. Day 3. Adventure Day at Patriota. On day 3, I rose before the sun. I wanted to be first in line for the jeep up to Patriota, New Murree. The ride was bumpy, crowded with locals and tourists. Every corner revealed another layer of greenery, mist and pine. At the top, the chairlift waited, a gently swaying basket taking you above treetops. I remember stepping in, heart pounding, breath catching as we rose. Below us, an endless quilt of forests and valleys. At the summit, I wandered into a meadow clearing, clouds rolling in like waves across the hills. I sat alone, letting the silence seep into me. Then a group of college students from Lahore asked if they could share my blanket. Before I knew it, I was laughing over kebabs, playing cards, debating cricket. We exchanged stories, and about yearbooks, and failed exams. No names, no follow-ups. Just shared laughter in a meadow at 8,000 feet. On the ride down, the sunset splashed the sky in purples and oranges. The wind whipped at my face, and I felt, I don't know, moved. Alive. Day 4. A day of reflection. Day 4 wasn't about sightseeing. It was about feeling. I found a quiet stone ledge near Kashmir Point. I sat down, opened my journal, and started writing questions. What am I running from? What do I need? Who have I become? The hills answered in silence. I wrote until my hand cramped. I looked at the forest, trees whispering, birds calling across the valley. The fog drifted slowly, a living painting. I thought about how often I fill silence with scrolling, talking, doing. Here, I felt safe sitting still. Later, I wandered into a small temple tucked behind a cluster of pines, wood-carved, ancient, silent. I closed my eyes, hoping prayer might happen in the quiet. That evening I ate eggs and toast at a local cafe, drank chai until my hands warmed through. I watched the fog roll in to tuck Murree to sleep, all while feeling held in its soft embrace. Day 5. Nathia Gali and Mushpori Top. On day 5, I caught a shared cab to Nathia Gali, about an hour and a half from Murree. The terrain changed quickly, gentler slopes, deeper greens, and the air, even more pure. I hiked the Mushpori Top trail. It started with gentle terrain, then steepened abruptly. I met an elderly couple doing the climb in silence. They looked at me, smiled, and moved past like they had no rush. I followed their pace and found strength in simplicity. At the top, you could see everything: forest, hills, Murree in the distance. A sea of green punctuated with clouds drifting below your feet. I stood there long enough to feel small and infinite all at once. On the way back, I stopped at a honey stall. The old man poured wild honey from a glass jar, golden, thick, dripping. I tasted it. It tasted like the woods, sweet, earthy, ancient. Day 6. Local culture and unexpected hospitality. That morning, over breakfast, I asked a local teenager where I could find real Murree. He grinned and said, "Come. I'll show you." We walked through narrow lanes. A few minutes later, we reached an older, quieter hamlet, Bansra Gali. Stone cottages, wool blankets drying outside, chickens pecking at grain. His auntie invited me in. I ended nursing a cup of creamy sweet lassi, tasting fresh butter, eating chapati with saag and makai roti. We talked over dinner, about politics, goats, the changing weather, and his grandmother even read my palm. Tum fear say suffer karo ge. You will travel again. We laughed at pronouncements like these, yet I held on to the hope they might come true. It felt sacred, a midday feast with strangers who invited me in as family. Day 7. Final farewell and full circle. Final morning. Mall Road at sunrise was nearly deserted. Shops still shuttered. Street cats stretched lazily in doorways. The fog glowed in faint rose light. I sat on that same bench where I'd met Sarah. Same thermos of chai in hand. But I wasn't the same person. I drank slowly, starting at emptiness. Thinking, I came here to get away. But what I found was myself. On the drive back to Islamabad, I left the music off. I listened to the engine, the valley, the winding road. Silence hung in the car like the fog hung in the hills. I realized, sometimes the scariest trip is the one that takes you home, all the way inside you. Closing reflection plus takeaways before I go. Some lessons from that week in Murree. Slow down, you don't need to go everywhere. Sometimes staying put reveals more. Talk to strangers. Locals may show you paths you won't find online. Silence is okay. Let yourself sit in your own thoughts for a bit. Carry cash. Small towns still rely on it. Pack layers. Mountain weather shifts like moods. Leave your phone. You don't need constant connection. Connection with yourself matters more. Solo travel can be intimidating. But it's also this beautiful invitation to show up unfiltered, without expectation, and see what happens. If this journey moved you, drop a comment. Tell me, have you ever traveled alone? What did the silence teach you? If you're planning to explore Murree on your own, hit like and subscribe for deeper videos, like hidden hikes in the Galiat, offbeat homestays, local food spots, and the subtle art of traveling light, with purpose. Thanks for being here. Travel alone. Feel deeply. Let the fog reveal you. See you in the next one.